So I just got done watching The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is the latest Star Wars film, and it's been about 7 years since the last one, and that was The Rise of Skywalker. And look, I was extremely excited for this movie because hey, it's Star Wars on the big screen in 7 years, and I enjoyed the show. So what's this movie about? Well, you got the Mandalorian and Grogu, and they're going from planet to planet trying to find different bosses, different crime lords, things like that, running into different scenarios, helping out Sigourney Weaver in the New Rebel Alliance or the New Republic, while also running into some fan favorite characters. And here's the deal. I will admit this movie does feel like a long episode of the TV show. That is, you can't really get around that with this movie because it was based on the show. So even Star Trek, when it took the leap from the small screen to the big screen, it took some getting used to for general audiences and for the franchise as a whole because it's so used to being on TV. But then you get into The Mandalorian and Grogu, and Star Wars has been specifically on the big screen for so long, and it never really went to TV live action wise until Disney took over and Disney Plus launched in 2019. So it was going to have a hard time transitioning to the big screen anyway. But I will say the movie is a lot of fun. It is definitely season 4 of The Mandalorian, but on the big screen and with a higher cinematic budget. A lot of these scenes do feel kind of stitched together, like how when an episode ends and then it immediately picks back up. Yeah, it definitely has that vibe. But I will say, what is this movie's really fun aspect is John Favreau and crew, like they do in the show, really taps into what makes Star Wars special here. And that is everything that has always been Star Wars, which is just the space western aspect or the pulpy science fiction aspect of Star Wars. And it's something that's been severely missed. I mean, Solo got the closest to it, but that movie was bogged down by fan service. And don't get me wrong, this movie is definitely a Dave Filoni production because it is bogged down by Clone Wars fan fiction. Not fan fiction, but fan service. But what really makes this movie work is the fact that we do have 3 seasons to get connected to these characters with Din Djarin and Grogu. This is much more Grogu's movie, and that Din Djarin doesn't really get a ton of screen time here. He's in the movie, all of it, but he doesn't really do much, if that makes sense. He's kind of just a cool guy with the shiny helmet that helps out the little baby Yoda. And it's okay, but in the show, he does get a lot more development. This is definitely Grogu's movie, though. Grogu is really forcing the plot. He is in every single scene, he's always around doing something cute. So if you don't like Grogu, I'd imagine you're just not gonna like this movie, or if you don't like the show. But if you're like me and you enjoyed the show, and I loved the first 2 seasons, it's just season 3 kind of drops the ball. I even enjoyed Book of Boba Fett, even though Mando totally took over that show. The little fan service they do here for like Clone Wars and Rebels is fun. I mean, you got Zeb in this movie, and Zeb is great as always. Not really in it a whole bunch, but I liked him. And then you have Imbo, who is I love him. I think he's great. It's just no really big driving force in the film. And then you get Rada the Hutt, and they give the most for Rada the Hutt to do, who's played by Jeremy Allen White in this movie. I actually really liked his character. I thought it was kind of cool having a Hutt in a gladiator arena. I feel like it fit the Hutts extremely well, so that really worked for me in the movie. Um, and Sigourney Weaver herself, as this New Republic kind of person, she's fine in the movie. She kind of feels like she's sleepwalking a little bit, but she's good. It's nice seeing Ripley from Alien and Star Wars. It's a very. I don't know how this movie's going to reach general audiences, because it is just going place to place to place. And that's not really what Star Wars has been on the big screen. That works in Clone Wars and it works in the TV shows. But on the big screen, Star Wars has always had this feeling, and you don't really get that special feeling to the end of the movie. But it is still a really fun time, and I feel like audience will connect with that aspect of it and not being bogged down by lore and everything like that. Like there's some Clone Wars lore here, but it's mostly you can show this to anybody and they would kind of just understand what's happening. And it's kind of a very safe, very digestible movie. And as the first movie being back for Star Wars on the big screen, it is very safe. Doesn't really push the envelope all that much, but I did really have a good time with it for what it was. And what it was just a fun Star Wars movie that took me back to what I enjoy about the original Star Wars movie from 1977, and that is how just pulpy it felt, and how just swashbuckling it felt at times. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. It also does look good. I mean, it looks cinematic for a movie, which you would want it to, because when the first teaser came out, I was excited, but I was like, oh, this kind of just looks like season 4 of the show. This movie doesn't really have that problem. There's some shots that look kind of like a TV show, but for the most part, it looks very cinematic, and I was actually really surprised by that because I wasn't expecting that with the movie. Also, the Bobby Fricks are here, and yeah, no, they were great. They kind of steal every scene they're in. They were in a little bit of Mando season 3, and they were kind of annoying there. Of course, they originated from Rise of Skywalker, but here they're fun. I like them here, and I like their little repertoire with Grogu, and as Grogu and them are going on a little mission in the movie, and I found it to be cute. And I really like the creatures in this movie too. The creature design I thought was very fun, and there's like, of course, in the trailer you see this giant snake and things like that, but there's other creatures in this movie that are really interesting for Star Wars, and it kind of just feels like we're showing off just how cool puppetry can be in Star Wars, because that was one of Disney's biggest things coming back into the franchise, is we're not just gonna be really big CGI stuff going on. It's gonna be mostly puppets. And yeah, no, it's great. It is really fun to watch. And yeah, it's a fun movie. I mean, as a fan of Star Wars, I had a good time with it. And if you're not a fan, I feel like you're still gonna like it, but you're not gonna be confused by it at all. But you're gonna be like, well, I mean, this is fun, but it's not like huge or anything. And if you're going into this movie expecting it to be the next big galaxy-changing event to set up more Star Wars content, you're gonna be sorely mistaken unless you're looking to just see these characters on the big screen. And my only biggest disappointing aspect of this movie was that Din Djarin just didn't have a lot to do here besides look cool and do action stuff. And Pedro Pascal is fine in the movie. It's just it's mostly just Grogu. And I mean, Grogu's cute, and we learn some stuff about Grogu, but it's mostly just been there, done that. And that's how I feel about the movie. It was a fun time. I enjoyed watching it in the movie theater, and I'll probably watch it again when it goes on Disney Plus, and I'll probably buy it on Blu-ray. But as for a movie, if you're going this expecting a deeper expansion of the lore, you're just gonna, or the feeling that the original Star Wars movies gives, you're gonna be sorely mistaken. But if you go into this expecting just a fun, pulpy space adventure in the Star Wars universe that isn't really consequential, yeah, you're gonna like this. So I would give The Mandalorian and Grogu, or Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu, about a 7 out of 10.